Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a customer that brought in a 2010 Grand Marquis. Only has about 46,000 miles on it. These cars generally are pretty reliable, but a few small issues are starting to pop up. Number one being the AC is not engaging anymore. It's not cooling. He found out the clutch is not engaging, so we're going to check that out. And then we're also going to check out a knocking noise in the front timing cover area on the right-hand side he's starting to hear. Now, as we all know, the 462 valve is pretty bulletproof, so I'll be interested to see what's actually going on here. It's probably something external. Either way, I'm going to bring you guys along. We can check it out together. All right, let's take a look. So the customer says the knocking noise in the timing cover area here is happening hot, so we're going to go after the AC first. We're going to start the vehicle up and see if that little clutch down there engages or not. So let's go ahead and do that, get this thing running, and see if there really is a concern here. Verify the concern. Start it up. Yep, there it is, 46,000 miles, like new. So we have max AC selected, and it's running. So let's go out here and see if our clutch is turning on. Sure enough, it is not. You can see it right there. Not coming on, so it could be an electrical concern, but I'm betting just like any other vehicle, it's lost its refrigerant. Now, what's common on these is for the AC accumulator right here to rot out and leak refrigerant. You can see on this one, it doesn't look too pretty. You see some of it right there, pretty rotted there. But the rotting actually happens inside the housing there, inside the plastic cover. But we're still going to go ahead and go through our diagnostics on here and verify it. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is connect any kind of AC gauge. I'm using my AC machine here, why not? So we have the low line connected, the low side connected. Let's go ahead and screw it in and take a pressure reading. Sure enough, we came up to 0, so it's lost all pressure in the system. So at this point, what you want to do is pull a vacuum on it, and really you want to, inject some dye in there to see where it's leaking. Well, let's go ahead and pull a vacuum on it and see if we can even hold a vacuum. Sure, opening it up. And usually when these vehicles have a leak to them, it's a small leak over time. You come out of winter, and all of a sudden you see, hey, the AC is not working so well anymore. This one's having a hard time pulling a vacuum on it. But many times they can pull a vacuum, no sweat, and even hold a vacuum, and it still has a leak in the system. That's where the dye comes into play here. I have a couple of different guns back here, but I use the injector right here. U-View makes a really good dye. Super bright, it's like nuclear. So I use this stuff whenever I need to inject dye into vehicles. So eventually pull it down. So we're gonna let it just pull a vacuum on it for now, and then we'll shoot some dye into there. In the meantime, the engine's heating up so we can listen for the other noise concern, and we'll just go ahead and get it going here once we pull a vacuum. At this point, I pulled vacuum on the system for a good 10 minutes and let it sit for another 15-20 minutes, and sure enough, hasn't moved a lick. It's very, very common with small leaks on the AC system. So that's where the dye comes in. So we're gonna go ahead and pull off the line, our service hose here, and we'll inject some dye into the low side port, and then we'll put about a pound back into there and get it going on here. So like I said, I use the U-View dye. It's expensive, but it's really, really good on there. So it just simply just plugs right into the low side port, and then you inject about a car's length inside, and that's more than enough. Stuff is like I said, like some nuclear, really, really bright dye. So we'll go ahead and we'll just put it onto here. Clips right on. It'll start to suck it in by itself, but it has an injection gun on there. Pull it off. Good enough. And then what I'll do is I'll charge about a pound back into here. So what that'll do is it'll force the dye into the system, and then the refrigerant will carry it through, and of course it'll leak out anywhere it's leaking. But it'll also test the system. So with the pound in there, I should be able to get cool air out of there. The compressor should engage, and that'll test not only the compressor, the electrical part of the clutch. It'll test all the sensors, the pressure sensors in the system, and it'll also be able to get a feel for how cool it is in there, and it'll check the control head, all that stuff all at the same time. So we'll just charge about a pound on here, and that'll be good enough. It's windy outside. So something like a pound. And just go ahead and let it charge. Push it right on through there. And then we'll just let it run for a while, you know, high and low pressures. You know, the lower end of the system here, of course, is going to be low while it's running. But once you turn the vehicle off, the low side's going to go high, maybe 80, 100 PSI in there. So you got to test it both ways. So we're going to do that, and I'm sure we're going to start to see a little glow coming from that accumulator. All right, so we're going to put this in, and then we're going to let it run, and we'll check it out. All right, here we go. It's about finished. We can go ahead and fire it up. All right, let's go check it out. Ooh, I hear something. And there it goes. So of course it's cycling fast like you see here because of the low charge. It hasn't really distributed throughout the system yet. But yeah, it works. Everything works with it. Obviously the pressure sensors are seeing the correct reading, so allowed to come on. And the fans are coming on. So it checks a lot, all while you're checking for leaks in the system. So, and since we're still connected here, we can check our low side pressure. You can see it just cut off there, so that means these cycling switch is working, and it checks a lot, you know. Come back on. It just has a low charge in the system right now, but it'll eventually push that die right on through. What I'll do is I'll lift it up, and we'll look at the bottom side of this, and we'll show you where it leaks the most. I'm still not hearing anything from the front of this engine. Sounds like a brand new 462 valve. So, all right, let's lift it up and check it out. Wait a minute, I think I hear that noise he's talking about. It smells like a bearing noise or belt noise. Well, I'll check it out. So anyways, sure enough, I came underneath here. And the first thing you want to look at one of these vehicles is the accumulator. Like I said, it's a plastic housing with a steel accumulator inside. It's just painted, and guess what? There's the moisture on the outside of that as the AC system is working. That's common, okay? And that's why there's a drain hole right here. But that moisture being trapped in there all times, you know, dirt gets in there, all that stuff. It just sits there, packs in, and rots it out. So I'll pop this one apart when we fix it, and I'll show you guys how they rot. So the other thing you want to look for any kind of AC leak is oil. You'll see like moisture, oil moisture all over whatever's leaking. It could be the condenser up here, it could be lines, peanut fittings, anything like that. But moisture, even on the AC compressor, you see moisture all over the place from the AC. Sure enough, look, it's all full of oil coming out of it. So as the refrigerant escapes, it pulls the oil out with it, and the idea is it's going to pull a dye out with it also. Now this one's already showing dye. You guys can't really see it too well with the UV light on camera. It doesn't pick it up. But trust me, the new oil that's coming out of there in dye is full. It's nice and bright and green on there with the UV light. So, sure enough, another accumulator bites the dust. The most common failure on the Crown Vics town cars and Grand Marquis is that accumulator to cause AC concerns. So everything else in here looks pretty good. It's dry, sure enough. So Let's go back up top and see if we can figure out that noise. It's a weird noise, but I don't think it's coming from the base engine. Like I said earlier, it's probably external. Oh wow, I just realized where that noise is coming from. So you guys got a twofer today. This should be a pretty interesting video for a lot of you out there. So, I can already tell you right now, it's the PCV valve, okay? Right here in the valve cover. Very, very common no matter what year you have. The old metal ones that are rattle type ones that are not plastic. For some reason, the 462 valve, they have a real issue with these things rattling. So they get to the point where they're just kind of like fluttering inside of there instead of just being sucked up or down and resting. They kind of vibrate inside of there. And you can just hear it on there. So it doesn't matter what year you have, 462 valve, especially on these vehicles for some reason, the PCV valves make this crazy noise. And the older ones with the metal style, when they're rattling in there, they kind of flutter. Just sit idle like this, it sounds like there's a valve train issue. If you guys ever have any kind of issues like that, and you're like, oh, it's just on this one bank, and you want to go in and pull the cover, check that PCV valve real quick. Wow. Yeah, so sure enough. All right, so the customer approved repairs. I mean, how could you not? The accumulator is probably the cheapest part you can replace in the AC system, and for an engine knocking noise, $6-10 PCV is the cheapest part you can probably change too. Now I think about it, the customer did say it was a right-hand engine type noise, and it was concentrated in this area closer to the EGR. Well, vibrations come up and they kind of resonate out right here. It all made sense. So I did put my stethoscope onto here and listen to it directly on each one of these components while it's happening, and it was pretty obvious, plus I could just feel it. So let's go ahead and swap it out on here. These ones are nice, they're right here. Everything in these cars are easy to work on, and pulls right out. The new one, I like to put a little bit of grease on there so it kind of goes back in. You don't twist the O-ring. That's the same thing. It just turn locks back in. No tools. So, yeah, there we go. It's fixed. They say time heals all. Well, that's for personal reasons, I guess. But you know what? Time ruins all. It degrades monuments and everything else in the world, but it also destroys cars. The worst thing you can do is let a vehicle freaking sit. Stuff like this happens. Stuff in the accessory drive rots out. Accumulators rot out. All that stuff prematurely. It's going to happen anyways eventually, but it's all happening prematurely because the vehicle's not driven enough. Trust me, it's the worst thing you can do for a vehicle is let it sit. We used to call it lot rot at the dealership. It would ruin brand new cars by letting them sit there for a few months. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and swap the accumulator out. Once I pull it out of there, I'll show you guys how they rot and come apart on there. But if you want a detailed video on how to replace one of those, I do have one. I'll link to it down below in case you're wondering. I've done it in the past back at the dealership days. I just shot a video. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull it off and let you guys see how it fails. Let's take a look. So it just has a bunch of snaps in the side here, and then the case halves come apart. Woo, there it goes. These ones that, they get trapped, everything gets trapped down inside of here, just dirt and everything else, and it packs in there. Then the moisture from the condensation, from the cooling cycles and all that stuff, it just comes together and destroys it. This one looks like it's pretty bad. It's worse than the other one from the other day I did last week. That was an 07, a lot of miles on it, and it didn't look this freaking bad. Let me see here. Has a couple plastic snaps too. Ooh, there it goes. Get over here too. Come on here. Ugh. Okay. They're big and unveiling. I gotta make sure you guys can see this. Yeah. So you can see how dirt and stuff like that gets down inside of here. and the moisture, of course, pools up top initially, and then it starts popping the paint. Okay, and enough gets trapped in here. Enough, see it right there? That's all dirt down in there mixed with the oil. But yeah, that's, you see how it is? I mean, it rots it enough where the oil starts seeping through there. You know, it doesn't blow out or anything, but I mean, look at this whole side over here. So it rusts pretty bad. You can see how bad that is. Taking off a couple layers there, and the same thing down here where it just sits there and rots out and leaks all the oil out. Crazy, huh? All right, at this point, the accumulator's back on. I added 2 to 3 ounces into the inlet side of the accumulator because that's where it stores the oil. And I went ahead and pulled a vacuum on it, 10, 15 minutes. And now it's time to charge it. 2 small jobs, this vehicle's out of here. Like I said, these vehicles in general are pretty reliable. So I'll go ahead and charge it up on there and test it out. But yeah, this job is basically done. So this is a little bit different video that I started with you guys today, where I just kind of bring you along with the repairs that I'm seeing on these vehicles. Let me know if you guys like these videos or you want me to go back to the straight up technical videos. I feel a lot of you guys may like this kind of video where you're coming along with me and kind of looking over my shoulder as I go through and diagnose things and repair things without any real specifics. I'm still going to do videos where there's specifics down to the torque specs and sequences and all that other stuff, but I'm going to mix some of these in there too so you guys can kind of hang in the shop with me here and fix some Fords. I'll see you guys next time.